Having a dog that barks and lunges at other people or other dogs can be really frustrating. Even as a dog trainer, I'm going through this myself with our rescue dog, Vindi. So even though we're making good progress, I thought I'd check in with Michelle Cogley, who is the creator of the Canine Transformation, to see if we can get any tips. And I've just brought Darcy for today. Michelle, we know that a lot of aggression and reactivity actually comes from a place of fear. What are some of the most common causes that you see for it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think when it comes to reactivity, it's such a complex issue that has so many different areas involved. But some of the more common reasons that we tend to see are things like lack of appropriate socialisation,
Yes.
so both in the dog's critical period
Yep.
and just in their day-to-day life as well.
And that's what I'm dealing with Vindi, because he didn't see the world in those first 6 months.
Yeah, which makes such a difference, such an impact for their entire life.
Yeah.
We've also got things like, you know, our society, the way that we live our life nowadays is so different to, say, 30 years ago, and sometimes that can be really counterproductive to what's natural to our dogs.
Yes.
You've also got things like I think there's a massive lack in awareness and education for owners about how a dog actually works.
Yes, which we try and do here.
Yeah. And also, you know, our human projection, what we project down to our dog. Like, a lot of people don't realise just how much of an influence their behaviour actually has on their dog, and can sometimes be really counterproductive to what they're trying to achieve. Your diet and gut
Yes.
health that influence. We've got things like how your dog responds to the bioenergetic field of the environment and of their human or their handler.
Yes.
We've also got, you know, the understanding about things like their triggers.
Yes.
And you have to be able to identify those triggers and know how to respond in that moment as well. So definitely, as far as some more practical exercises go, you know, we can look at things like the focus exercise, you know, getting your dog to building a relationship that beyond the other dogs or
Yes.
whatever they're reacting to, the other humans, whatever it is. Building a relationship where the dog wants to be focusing on you beyond anything else
Yes.
is really important, and takes a lot of groundwork. Making sure that critical distance you're not stepping over that threshold, because if we can get a dog to respond to something before it's hit the point where it's like chaos,
Yes.
once it's hit that point, you know, we're sort of
Fighting
it's
a
bit
losing
of-
battle.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important that the timing of things.
Yes.
But I think one of the most important areas is that the first step needs to be a proper assessment
Absolutely.
from, you know, a behaviourist, depending on what we're dealing with, behaviourist, trainer or vet.
And I'm fortunate, you know, that I have been able to do that assessment with Vindi, and I understand what the triggers are and everything. So I'm doing all those techniques. He wants to say hi. He loves to play with certain dogs, and he's great. And I want to let him be a dog still.
Absolutely.
So any tips and tricks?
Yeah, look, depending on the level of reactivity we're looking at, like you just mentioned, you want him to be able to say hi to other dogs. If he's at a stage where it is safe to do so,
Yes.
I always recommend that we need to make sure we're doing it in a controlled way.
Yes.
So a little tip that I sort of recommend to people, obviously we're imagining this is on lead and we're
Yes.
doing an introduction with
Yep.
2 dogs. Try and approach from side to side as opposed to head on,
Yes.
because that is what's natural for a dog to approach in sort of that circular motion,
Yes.
as opposed to head on. And also I like to do the rule of 3.
Yes.
So that is count to 3 and call them away.
Yes.
So as we let them approach, imagine if you're walking up, we're saying hi. I
Yep.
literally go hi, 1, 2, 3. Call
Take
my
him
dog
away.
away.
Yes.
Because it's at that 3-second mark that we usually see some form of reaction, whether
Absolutely.
that be a break into play,
Yep.
or whether that be this is too much for me and I'm going to react.
Exactly, and I deal with that as well. So that's a good one. I am
Yeah.
going to use that, because I have not been letting Vindi say hi of late because of the reactivity. But
Yeah,
we've
and
tried a couple where I've done it really quickly and it's worked. So
Yeah.
that's a really good one. But you have to make sure your dog is at a certain level.
That's right. Yeah.
And that you know what you're doing as
Yeah.
well.
And that's where the guidance from someone can really help
Yes.
in those those situations as
Yeah.
well. I would also say that we want to look at the temperament and the energy level of the other dog.
Absolutely.
So sometimes when we're dealing with these things, well, not sometimes, when we're dealing with these things, we need to take into account that if we pair our dog that's got a reactivity issue with a dog that's hypo and, you know, energetically is actually giving off a bit of an unstable energy, then that's going to be really hard for them to deal with.
Yes.
So if we have a calm dog
Yes.
that's more polite and got a few more doggy
Chilled
manners,
and relaxed, not going to
Exactly.
react or do anything either.
that's right. So the dog that has the reactivity issue, that's a lot easier for them to
Yes.
cope with.
Yep.
It's also about building their confidence so
Yes.
that they can then say hi to that other dog, feel good about doing it and go, okay, well, that's something I'm
went
willing to
well.
explore a bit more.
Perfect. I love it. I've actually got a couple of ones
Yay.
that's just reinforcing I'm on the right track, and I just love those. Thank you for that. So
That's my
if
pleasure.
you want to find out a little bit more about the reactivity, aggression, and some of the tips that I talked about, you can visit the Pooches at Play website. And if you'd like to find out more about the canine transformation, it's an online course. Visit Michelle's.